if we are really interested in somebody, we bring in George, our supervisor. So we don't just, hey, you look like you're a good fit. You got 5 years of painting. Great, let's go. Because again, our reputation is at stake here. We need to understand who we're putting in front of our customer.
Welcome to the Base Coat Brainiac podcast. My name is Austin Hauser. If you own a painting business and you're listening in, you are in the right place. Today, I have Rob Snyder with We Paint and Renovate out of Stockton, California, and I'm really excited about this conversation today because Rob's background gives him a bit of a competitive advantage with the way that he sells and communicates his business. And I believe everybody listening in can benefit from this conversation. Specifically, Rob's former life as a DJ for over 15 years and just really enthralled in the music industry as a whole has him shooting some of my favorite content of any marketing campaign our team has worked with in recent memory. Media team, let's throw up a quick preview of what that looks like.
Hey Stockton, Rob here with We Paint and Renovate. We're a locally owned, family-run business, and we've been painting homes for over 20 years.
Hi, I'm Chuck in the truck. I've been in business for almost a month.
Oh man, well we're fully licensed and insured.
Hold on. I'm getting an estimate. Hello?
For 6 months, plus free same-day estimates. So click below to get your quote, or give us a call, and I'll personally reach out and chat with you.
Okay, so Rob, we are here to talk about you today. Why don't you give us a brief background of who Rob Snyder is and how you got to a company that just did 3.4 million last year, and you guys are looking to close out 2026 at 4 million. Rob, start maybe after birth, but some point along the way there.
Okay. Well, thank you, Austin, for having me here today. First off, I do appreciate that. Secondly, it's one of those things here in Stockton, born and raised. My cousin, Jason, he owns the business, and we were raised here. Our family, they ran apartment complexes. So, I mean, even down to 12 years old, that's how I made money. Grandma, I want a new skateboard. I want a new bike. Okay, well, guess what? Number 12 needs some touch-up paint. You got to go change the P-trap in the bathroom. And then also, you're the landscaper, so you got to mow the lawns to make some money. So we started out doing that, as kids. And that's just how we earn money. In the 80s, we just had that grandpa that was teaching us even how to correctly pull weeds, right? So as I went, through school and then went to UC Davis and Sac State to finish out my degree in business management, I moved on right after that to the music business. And I was in wholesale distribution and got a lot of traction and a lot of sales experience doing that. And then after that, I moved to Grainger. I worked for Grainger Industrial Supply, and I became a certified trainee for Jack Carew. So I'm a certified consultative sales trainer for Carew International, which is based off the book You'll Never Get No for an Answer by Jack Carew, which is a great needs-based selling model. So it's really understanding needs and how your solution solves the problem of the customer. So when you're really getting into the mindset of understanding how you can solve the problem on needs-based selling and not price is never going to be your issue. It's always going to be, do I have a solution for this customer's problem? And that's really where my background in selling has come from. The music business helped me because after I got out of that, because I did sell to record stores, I started getting into managing bands. So as I was with Grainger, I also managed bands on the side. And interestingly enough, after that adventure, I opened up a restaurant and got into full-time owning a restaurant and managing bands. And then I went on tour, DJ'd, bartended, went all across the country, got to be with some famous bands on tour, which was really exciting. So it really helped me get that comfort level of being on stage, being in front of people, not as a performer, but as the guy introducing the band, as the guy, getting people to come up and sing at a karaoke or DJing a wedding, or just really having that experience of being with people. And that's what sales is. Sales is being in front of your customer. So being a DJ is just selling entertainment. If you really look at it, what is the need here? The need is people want to be entertained. That's my job. So that's in a nutshell, where I am and how I got here. Well, that was another adventure. We had a family reunion in 2021 and Jason and I were sitting there because he is my cousin again. And he's like, man, I really need a salesperson. So in 2021, everything just happened to work out. And I moved here, and now I'm operations manager here at We Paint and Renovate, and going into my 5th year here at We Paint. And it just continues to be an exciting adventure.
You know, what struck me about your social media content that you've created is how comfortable you are in front of that camera and just the creative and uniqueness behind what you produce. And I always tell our clients who struggle to get in front of the camera because they care about what they look like or how they sound, it's not about you, right? And more importantly, like if you don't look back on that very first video you created a year from now and you're not embarrassed by that, you probably waited too long. It's all about putting in the reps. So I guess just to start with, what do you have to say, or what advice can you provide a business owner who might be timid or a bit scared to get in front of the camera because of X number of reasons? How do you get comfortable putting in the reps to create the content that's ultimately going to get your phone ringing?
Honestly, I would say it's just as simple as doing what you do every day. You're in front of customers. You're explaining the process. You're explaining how you're going to prep the house, how you're going to apply the paint product, what paint products you're going to use. If you're comfortable doing that in front of your customer, then you should be just as comfortable doing that in front of the camera, because your ultimate job is selling. So if you're comfortable talking to a customer, that's all you need to do is put yourself in that position like you're talking to a customer. Have somebody behind the scenes. So Jason films these. So I'm talking to my cousin, right? That I'm super comfortable in front of him. So being in front of somebody behind the camera that you're comfortable being in front of and making mistakes and laughing and having a good time, trust me, there's probably a blooper reel that would just probably get millions of views if we were to put it all together in a compilation, because we just have fun doing it. And that's the most important part. Just breathe, be yourself, be the guy that you are in front of your customer every day, and have fun doing it.
Talk to the camera like you're talking to a prospect about a pain point, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I resonate very much with the statement of have fun with it. Like, I think a lot of guys look at this as a chore. It looks like, oh man, I have to go film content again. How do you structure content creation into is it like a daily routine for you? Is it part of your SOPs? Do you block off a day each month? Like, what does that look like?
That's a good question, honestly. Sometimes it's we're fortunate, we're in California, we got 300 plus days of sunshine a year, but sometimes it's just like, hey, this looks like a good day to go do some content, right? It's sunny outside. And what we've experienced a lot of success with is neighborhood by neighborhood. So Stockton is segregated into neighborhoods: Spanos, Brookside, Lincoln Village West. So we go to places that people will recognize that are from this area, and we stand in front of those and go, hey, Spanos, it's Rob here, right? Just being personal. So those days, are they SOPs? Not always. Do we look at the calendar? Yeah, that's the job board behind me, and go, hey, you know what? We got a cabinet job. We got a renovation job. We've got an exterior job that we're going to go stand in front of. And it's a great day. We got the right crew in place. So we really shoot from the hip. We do have scripts, don't get me wrong, but it's just a guideline. It's not like you need to sit there and read it. You need to just look at it, because if you're comfortable with it, our SOP, our foundation, our beliefs in what we do here at We Paint and Renovate, it's a passion. And if you're a company and you're passionate about it, you're passionate as an owner, it should be just that easy to talk about your business. You should be able to just relay that to your customer that, hey, we're reliable, trustworthy, professional from start to finish. That's who we are. So if you believe that in your heart, it should be just as easy to come out.
Oh, it's so good. The local landmarks, I want to point that out, is a great way to tie yourself to the community. So instead of just standing in front of a house, let's say, you go stand in front of a local landmark or your favorite restaurant. Tell a story about that. Call out the other business owners in the area. That's a great way to get engagement as well.
100%.
Any other advice that you would give to a painting business owner or a contractor in this industry who might be skeptical about creating content or about the way that they sound on camera, or even spending the time to create the scripts or anything like that? Any other advice or guidance that you can provide that contractor?
Fail often and learn from it. I know I don't sound like I sound in my head, and that's the biggest issue. When people talk, they hear what they sound like in their head, and then when they hear themselves recorded, they're like, oh, I don't sound like that. Well, you actually do. You sound like that to other people. So you just have to be comfortable with how you sound on camera, and that takes some getting used to. So fail often. Heck, work with the failures. Get someone like Base Coat to help you edit that, right? You guys edit our content and put that content out there for Facebook. And that is the partnership that makes it successful. We send you raw, unedited content, and your team does a fantastic job in making me look great. I mean, it's, if people in your town know you, trust me, after something like this, everybody knows you. And that's a wonderful thing. I mean, you show up at an estimate and people are looking at you going, man, you're the guy from Facebook. Yeah.
That's it.
So that connection right there it's almost an automatic close. You don't even have to do anything because they already trust you. They've already clicked on that link from Facebook. I like this guy. He seems somebody that I would want to trust, and I would want him to paint my house, or would want him to come by and look at my kitchen for a renovation. So the advice is fail often enough that you get comfortable with the mistakes. And like you said earlier, a year from now, you're going to look at that and go, man, remember when I, made 15 mistakes making that video? But now, oddly enough, Jason calls me, one take Rob. I can just 30 seconds, bam, I got it done. It's usually the people involved in the video that we have to do other edits. But that's where we are right now. We look at the script. I go, okay, we're going with this one. All right, we're going with this one. Use the tools that are available to you. You guys are gracious enough to send us a few scripts. We use those as outlines. Sometimes we do throw it into AI and say, hey, can you format this a little bit more towards We Paint and what we do here? And merge it together. Cool. I got 30 seconds. I'm going to run through this and go with it. Just let it go. That's the best advice I could give you, is to just let it go and be yourself. I can't repeat that enough, and fail often. Failures are not failures. They're lessons. And the more you learn, the better you're going to get at it.
That's it. There's no such thing as failure in life. It's opportunities to learn, as you said. And it's just the way that you perceive that. Like, for instance, under my household, we have what's called a failure resume, where we just meet as a family and we've come up with, hey, how did I fail today? Or what opportunity did I have to learn today? And we look at that as a win. I mean, you can't win in life, or you can't progress in life without failing. I mean, that's just impossible. So to your point, like, just go get comfortable getting uncomfortable. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, right?
100%. That's the
and
best.
I love the use of AI for scripts. Go open up Claude, or I prefer Claude for this kind of stuff, but go open up Claude, talk to Claude as if you're describing your business to somebody, and just say, hey, I need a 30-second script with a hook, a story, and a call to action. Go. And give me 15 different variations of that. And then you can pick the winner and then feed that back in. And that feedback loop will produce some pretty good content. And guess what? That's just going to be a test. Go create more. It's content at scale nowadays performs best. So you guys are crushing it. Keep up the great work over there. On the same topic of the way you communicate, you mentioned your need-based selling process. And I can definitely see how your ability to communicate on camera directly correlates to your ability to sell. So let's get into the weeds about sales, because I can't tell you how often we hear things like, hey, this lead was not a quality lead. And then we dig into the weeds of why. It's like, oh, because they had a price objection, or it wasn't the right time of the year, whatever it is, right? There's always going to be objections in a sales process. That's inevitable. I think what really stress tests a company and their ability to sell is how much they've sold to people who've never heard of them before, right? So the further down the pipeline you get of selling to people who, let's say, are referrals, repeat, word of mouth, I mean, that's like shooting fish in a barrel all day. But when you have to sell to somebody who is skeptical or who is comparing estimates or who's shopping around, well, then that it's going to stress test that process. So let's get in the weeds about selling. What are your greatest takeaways? How do you guys go about selling to prospects who might be skeptical or on the fence?
I would say the number one thing that we do is education. Educating a customer. So many people nowadays are going out and doing research through whatever internet channel they use. And then there's various information pieces that come back. And so they really don't have all the answers. So we educate them on things like premium paints perform better than lower quality paints. You don't always need 2 coats. Proper caulking, proper prep, like, fillers fail. We talk to them about, wood fillers and things of that nature, and really educate them on the in-depth. So Jason, my cousin, spent 17 years working on the paint side, selling paints for Standard Brands, ICI, Fuller O'Brien, all these old school paint companies. So he knows paint technology inside and out. And so when you take that education, and he did that before he even started his business, he saw where other people were not performing. And so what we do is we educate the heck out of you during the estimate. We're walking around and we're showing you, like, that's a failure because somebody didn't put the proper primer. Or we tell people all the time, paint doesn't just fail. There's elements that are affecting this. Let's turn on your sprinklers. Oh, look, the sprinklers are hitting your house where all of your paint's failing at the lower section of your house. Oh, look at all that dry rot right there. Well, guess what? You have sprinklers hitting that, or you have sun. Like, paint doesn't just fall off. There's a reason it fell off, and it's improper prep or it's elements or things of that nature. So continuing to give them the proper education and making them feel so comfortable with you that you're sharing things that most people won't do, I think is one of the big wins to gain their trust. Because what we find is, we use drip jobs, we use company cam, we use the integrations. So yes, our proposal looks 10 times better than anyone else's in our market. So when you have the education that you gave them, and then you send them this complete, just blow your mind proposal where it's very detailed, it encompasses everything you educated them. So you're reinforcing the education that you just gave them directly. You're getting, I mean, we call them #yestimates. These are literally people we walked away and got in the car and said, they're calling us back, right? Because we felt that confident walking away, because they didn't even get another estimate, or they tell us they are. And we say, you know what? We're glad you're getting another estimate, because we feel like as a consumer, you should go out and get other, options. But they go with us. We're not always the highest. We're never the lowest, but we're definitely the highest quality at the best value. And that's where you want to be. You want to be in that sweet spot where you're making the profit margins that you need to make to run your company, but you're educating your customers so that when they get that paint job, they're just ecstatic. I mean, I can't even tell you, since we've been using base coat, we have to change our script cards. Austin, I mean, it is going from, we had 155 star, 165 star, 175 star. We just hit 180 this week. And we've only been together for a little while, but at the same time, it's like, it has exponentially just grown our Google reviews, our everything. And all of that comes from trust-based, needs-based selling, understanding the customer's pain point, where they are today, what's the ideal state, and how do we close that gap to ensure that you get what you need. And when you sit down every day, you're bragging to your friends, you're bragging to your family. But when you wake up in the morning and you look at the exterior, interior, or your kitchen renovation, you just feel like you just picked the right company to do the job. And that's our ultimate goal, is education, education, education. Don't be afraid to be honest with them, because the more honest with your customer you are, the more trust you're going to gain.
The education-based sales is exactly how we sell as well. We want to understand what your desired outcome is, to your point, and we want to make sure that you understand exactly what makes us different. Now, talk to me a little bit about during the sales process, if you have an objection, or maybe even what questions you ask to get ahead of an objection. Is there a certain way that you structure the estimate to get ahead of those objections or to ask the questions to uncover exactly what that homeowner or business owner actually cares about?
And that's a funny question because actually a good question, not funny, is because it's two different components right there. So residential versus commercial, right? So a homeowner, literally the estimate starts off with explaining the process, right? Okay, first day, we always start on a Monday because we're going to start by pressure washing. And we explain to them pressure washing because I will tell you that's actually one thing that a lot of customers have a misperception about. They think you're like literally washing their house to peel paint off of it. So we explained, no, this is a 24-inch fan. We're just washing the dirt off. We need to have a clean surface. We don't want the paint to be sticking to dirt because it won't stick, right? Proper prep is important. So we explained to them, we're going to pressure wash your house. We're going to start addressing any stucco cracks, any repairs that need to be done. We're going to start caulking all your windows, all your door trim. We're going to make sure everything's nice and tight and everything's clean. So prep is most important. We explain that to them as we're walking around the house, taking pictures, pointing out areas that need to be addressed, and explaining that. So we alleviate so many questions by making the process part of the conversation right away. And then as we walk around the house and address areas of concern, more times than not, we point out things the customer doesn't even know is wrong with their house. Oh, I didn't even know that gutter was falling off. Oh, I didn't even know that that was happening down there, because they walk around their house with horse blinders on because they live there. We see in their house for the first time. So it's definitely one of those things where education is going to be important. Again, educating about their own house, right? So that alleviates a lot of concerns. Now, for a business owner, that's a completely different thing, because I don't know if it's a TI, if it's a facade improvement program, if it's just time for paint, right? Want to update it to make the place look better. So yeah, we go a lot more with the goal-oriented questions and what they're trying to accomplish. With the apartment complex, a tilt up, an office space, a restaurant, whatever it is, what are you trying to accomplish here, and what's your ultimate goal? Are we part of an overall renovation? What phase are we in? Things of that nature. So really, two different types of approaches. One, residential, educating them on process. Two, commercial, understanding what their ultimate goal is.
Love that. Let's actually dive into the weeds a little bit further. Remind me again, Rob, what is your residential versus commercial split if we just had to divvy that up via revenue? What does that look like for you guys today?
That's revenue-wise, like dollar-wise.
Just a rough estimate.
Probably 60-40, like 60% commercial, because the commercial's larger dollar volume.
Yep.
Right. Residential, right. we paint 500 homes a year. Residential,
so
commercial,
let's dive into that.
Okay.
What I hear often is, hey, I love the idea of commercial, bigger projects. One relationship can generate recurring revenue in the future. There's a lot of benefits to it. There's a lot of cons 100%. As well. But let's talk about like just the sales process differentiation, because there is a distinct difference between the want, not a need, premium home service for the residential homeowners and the need-based, typical need-based service on the business-to-business side of things. And then ultimately, the process of estimating and providing that estimate is also slightly different. With that said, give me a brief overview of, other than the education, it sounds like the education is mainly on this the sales side, on the homeowner side, and then the need-based outcomes are going to be on the commercial side. Are there any other differences between those two? And also, is there any differences between the way that you estimate those projects?
Definitely a difference in how we estimate. So my focus is residential. Okay. Jason is commercial. He's got a degree in construction management. He has been doing this for 23 years. We start our 23rd year in business next week. So he's been doing this, and that's his forte. I will back up a little bit and say that that is one of our focuses for 2026. So we had a call with Mike Gorman, who I'm sure you know.
Mhm.
Uh, and it was a wonderful call. And it was one of the most enlightening calls, almost like you could say Mike Gorman did a one call does it all kind of conversation. He had a light bulb go off for us as a company. And in December of 2025, we hired a commercial business development manager. So we have a gentleman here now, Paul, who that's all he does. And he goes out and introduces himself to commercial clients, and I'm talking the big commercial uh, realtors. We do lunch and learns. So when we talk about education, we go to those types of places and we say, who are we and what do we do? We're giving them the education on what we do and how we do it, right? So for commercial, uh, a lot of times it's just uh, building that relationship. Sometimes it takes years. We call it planting seeds, right? We're planting seeds and just letting them know what we do. So when we do a lot of tilt ups, one of our large customers is Prologis. They own roughly 1.4 billion square feet of warehouse space. Here in our market, they own about 28 million square feet of tilt-up space, but they're one of our customers. They have 5-year repaint cycles. Every 5 years, they're repainting their Best Buy, their Amazon, their Crate and Barrel facilities here. And so we're just part of that program, as far as bids. But new customers, apartment complexes, shopping centers, things of that nature, it's really, again, an education. We've been around for 23 years, people looking for us, diversifying our marketing to target commercial customers. If you're not letting them know who you are, they don't know you're there. So that, again, it still goes back to education. So we've pushed that commercial side. And now it's Jason's gone right now. They're off looking at, I think, like a 72 unit apartment complex. And getting ready to look at a couple other shopping centers. So we just educate people on who we are and what we can do and why we're different. We're very good at logistics. We did a Home Depot that was a 24-hour operation. It was a Home Depot warehouse distribution center, actually. And the logistics on that side, like, you have to be able to manage that, day work, night work, weekend work. You really have to have the crews to make that work. And that's what we specialize in. We tell our customers, hey, logistics is our thing, and we can help work around your business. When it comes to medical offices, you have to be able to work at night. When it comes to shopping centers, you have to be aware that there's a lot of people parking cars. Do you have car covers? Are you marking off the spot? Is your lift going to be in the way? Do you have traffic control? Like, there's just so much with commercial that has some complexity that I know that it's kind of a fear for some guys, because they're like, oh my gosh, I don't have that. Right? Then go out and get it. Go out and figure it out. Fail often. Do your best to be mindful of the situation, or what I call situational awareness. What's around you and what you're doing, and make sure that you're paying attention to that, because commercial customers have a need not only to get their facilities up and looking beautiful for prospective tenants, because most of the time that's why they're painting. They have open spaces in their facility and they're trying to, fill those, but it's a little dilapidated. It's a little old looking. They want to bring it up to date so they can attract new clients and new tenants. But the only way to do that is to get it painted. And you just have to be the guy. You have to be the guy that's willing to take that shot. Jason did it 15 years ago and said, I'm going to do it. And ever since then, it's just been a wonderful opportunity to continue to grow. And it's definitely a huge growth area for 2026 for us. But again, honestly, Austin, residential and commercial, it's all logistics and size, but it still comes down to satisfying a need and being able to make that happen.
Hey, my business philosophy is very simple. Do what you say when you say you're going to do it, right?
Yep.
I can't tell you how many painting contractors I've talked to, both painting and epoxy, and especially those that do commercial, to a measurable extent. And they all say the same thing, that they are a scheduling company that paints. And it's to your point, it aligns exactly with what you're saying, is like, hey, logistics, it's a little bit more, it requires a little bit more management on the commercial side, but that's just a process that you need to put in place, right? It's not something special or unique. You just need to learn how to do that. We are very much pushing all of our clients to the commercial side, just given the overall sheer opportunity that's out there. And I would argue the blue ocean that's out there, given that the residential side is becoming ever more saturated with a lot of these business owners becoming more sophisticated. But you guys, again, have a very unique competitive advantage with the way that you communicate. And I would argue that that puts you in a tier of business owner that kind of separates yourself from everybody else in this industry. Talk to me a little bit about, like, you guys do painting, obviously, but you guys also do remodeling. And I know you mentioned to me that you have a phrase, remodel without the remodel. Talk to me a little bit about that process or that service, and how you go about selling all of that, when you're out there looking at a paint project, and how that differs from, let's say, the renovation side of things.
Okay. So first off, yes, we are a painting contractor. We are also a general. So, having that ability to be what we call a turnkey solution is beneficial to a customer. One call does it all. But I'll be honest with you, we don't even advertise it. We do advertise that we paint kitchen cabinets. So more times than not, when we get called to come in and paint kitchen cabinets, well, needs-based selling. What are you doing? What's your goal here? What are you trying to accomplish? Oh, well, I'm renovating my kitchen. Oh, well, are you putting new countertops in? Are you getting, new backsplashes? We start asking the qualifying questions. Oh, yeah. And then we just say, we do that. And they go, what? So the remodel without the remodel basically came from, hey, you don't need to tear your kitchen apart to get a new kitchen, right? You can take these cabinet bases. Back in the day, especially a lot of the older homes, man, these things are made out of solid wood. Why would you sacrifice that for the type of quality today, especially if you're going with RTAs, ready to assemble, which most people do, right? It's a cookie cutter. You only have 24s, 36, 15s, 18s, and they just put that puzzle together and put filler strips in, and here's your kitchen, right? So yes, it may be a little less expensive, but so's the quality and so's the amount of space, right? At the same time. So let's take your existing situation, and we can do two things. We can put new doors and door fronts on, or let's just paint them. Let's just clean them, sand them, prime them, paint them. We use Sherwin-Williams emerald urethane paint, high quality cabinet grade paint. We explain that to them. New hardware, we buy direct from hardware companies. So Pride Decor, we provide you with hardware, new hinges. We can give you that new kitchen with just some quartz countertops, painting the cabinets and the doors in place, keeping all your same stuff, just giving it a fresh look, putting in a new sink, single bowl, stainless steel, whatever it may be, farmhouse sink, new faucets, coming up with unique ideas. The air gap garbage disposal is a really cool feature. People like the whole push button, runs my garbage disposal, no more switch. So giving them a consultation when you're there just for kitchen cabinets and helping them understand that they can actually do a kitchen renovation anywhere from, the low 20s to mid 30,000, and not what you see on HGTV and, Christina on the Coast, I'll do your kitchen for $100,000. You really don't need to spend that to walk into a brand new kitchen every single morning. And that needs-based selling, that consultation, that understanding of where they're going, and explaining to them the remodel without the remodel is just giving your kitchen, a fresh look. It's not as intensive. And we turn those in 8 to 10 days because, we do have 40 painters. We have 5 full-time carpenters. The carpenter supervisor is Jason's son. He also has graduated Cal State East Bay construction management and business. So our guys are educated in the proper way to do things. And that's most important, especially when you're, looking at moving electrical or taking this, doing this and adding this and things of that nature. You definitely want to be mindful of that. But that's where we kind of, around the office, we joke a little bit like, man, here goes another kitchen cabinet painting that turned into a full kitchen remodel. I mean, I'm sitting here at my desk right now. I have 5 of them sitting here. And that's one of the things I focus on is okay, let's get your quotes out there, and we're in the midst of a couple of them right now. So it turns, a great profit margin for sure. So the guys that are out there, if you're not painting cabinets and you're not offering that as a service, you're missing out on some great profit margins and opportunity to really shine in your market.
So good. Yeah, I love the whole concept of remodel without the remodel. It's tying into the pain of, which I know firsthand, of having to, excavate your house and literally like have somebody else in your house for several weeks or months tearing everything apart when you could just get a refresh for a significantly less price and more or less get the same desired outcome. And I think that all ties back to your ability to communicate and educate, right? I think you guys do a stellar job of that. You mentioned a little bit about your team. Talk to me a little bit more about how you guys have your company structured, where you guys find your team, how you vet your team, your culture, anything that you can talk to on that side of things.
Well, that's one thing I will tell you, Austin, that makes us really unique. Jason still has the 2 original employees that started with him 23 years ago, side by side, when he was doing side jobs before he even started the business. So as he was working full time as a sales rep for paint, he was, again, seeing the pain points from other contractors and saying, I want to start a business. Hadn't fully started. So on the side, on the weekends, he would do side jobs. And those 2 employees are still working for him today. I would say 70% of our foremen have been with us 10 to 15 years. And all of our current foremen that are less than that, 5, 6 years, whatever that may be. We have George. He's our foreman supervisor. He is one of the 23-year employees here. They call him George's disciples. So anybody that works with George and gets trained with George, George has painted anything and everything from the top to the bottom, floor epoxies, you name it, he's done it. And so he educates them, and those that are George's disciples come up the ranks and become foremen. And then our SOPs, so everybody that learns that sticks with us. We just don't have a lot of turn. We really don't. People stay with us because of the fact that we keep you employed during the winter. We don't have guys that, are leaving the company because we don't have work. They're all calling us because we continue to thrive. We continue to use the tools that are available to us. So our company is structured foreman supervisor, carpenter supervisor, and then they run their teams under that. And then each foreman has their own crew. They have a lead painter and they have a prep guy. Sometimes you might have, depending on the size of the job, you have more in each crew. But we run on an average, right now we're running about 10 to 12 jobs a week. So we're painting 10 homes a week and mixing commercial jobs in the middle of that. We just finished a Holiday Inn last week. And George ran that job, and we did a Holiday Inn in 2 weeks, right? So it's the efficiencies, it's the SOPs, it's understanding from start to finish exactly where you're going, what direction you're going. At the end of each day, the foreman is prepping the team. Hey guys, tomorrow we're going to start spraying. Tomorrow we're going to, work on trim. Tomorrow we're going to do this. So preparing not only your team, but preparing your customer for what's happening the next day. Those are things that when the guys show up for work, there's no question as to what they're going to be doing for the day. We don't have guys standing around waiting to be told to do something. Not an employee here right now, currently out on a job that has been here less than 3 years. So because we offer, so we offer 401k, we offer medical benefits, we offer vacations, we get 6 paid holidays a year. These are things that most painters don't do. But guess what? Our guys don't leave because other guys don't do that, right? So you have to, we call it all the time. We say it's we paint, not I paint. We are a team, all right? You finished early. Guess what? Austin still needs help. We're going to send 2 guys to go help Austin to wrap up that job this week, right? So everybody is a team here. We constantly have team meetings. Every 2 weeks, we have a 15-minute foreman meeting. I literally from 6:45 to 7 a.m. I'm just pulse checking. How you guys doing? What's going on? Right? Staying integrated with your team. We do team outings. We take them to basketball games. We take them to baseball games. We sponsor local boxers, and we go and support him at a boxing match, and we'll take 15 of our guys and say, hey, you guys deserve this, right? So everybody here is so appreciative of that, that they work that much harder, and I'm not even harder, smarter, right? They all know their jobs. And that's the hardest part with turning uh, constantly in your business, is that you got guys that come from another painter and he did it this way and he did it that way. And unfortunately, the We Paint way is a much different way. And I guess that's how we differentiate ourselves, is long-term employees, a lot of skill and dedication and pride. They have a lot of pride in what they do. And, we incent them when they get those Google 5-star reviews. Hey, you guys all get a $50 gift card, or we buy them lunch, or, there's some kind of incentive behind getting those Google 5-star reviews, and they all love it. They're all bragging to each other. Hey, I got 5-star. Did you read that on Google? Da, 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 da. Because our customers call out our employees. They're really good at that. If you've seen our Google reviews, they're like, Luis did this, Rick did that, George did this. It's definitely one of those things where the customer's even mindful of who was at their house and how professional and courteous they were.
I can sense the passion when you talk about your team and the whole concept behind we, not I. And you make it sound easy, right? But I know firsthand that requires a lot of intentional effort. A question that I hear often is, where do you find good talent? And then more importantly, how do you ensure that good talent is actually good talent and they're not just handing you a doctored AI resume? Can you talk to your hiring and interview process at all and what that looks like?
Sure. So we have just a standard 2-page application, but we also have a 2-page test, if you will. It asks certain questions about cutting in. It asks certain questions about prep. It asks certain questions. It's really a test of, even if you don't know it, are you willing to go find the answer, first off? And then we review that, and then Jason and I have an interview with them face to face. We obviously ask about their experience. Yes, we do check their references. What was the previous paint company? How long did you work there? Most of the time, because Jason's been around this industry for almost 40 years, he knows everybody here. So he'll call that painter, and say, hey, Angelo worked for you for 15 years. And the only reason he doesn't have a job is because that guy, the owner, retired, and, whatever. But then if we are really interested in somebody, we bring in George, our supervisor, and we have him sit down and interview with us. So we don't just, hey, you look like you're a good fit. You got 5 years of painting. Great. Let's go. We do a little bit more in depth because, again, our reputation is at stake here. We need to understand who we're putting in front of our customer. How are you with me, with my consultative sales background, attitude, energy, and appearance. So how do you walk in? What kind of energy are you giving off? What kind of vibe are you giving off? And how do you look? How did you show up for your interview? Right? I know you're showing up as a painter. And I'm not asking you to be in a suit and tie. You're a painter. But are you at least considerate enough to show up and be respectful in that capacity, that you're like, hey, I want a job. I don't want to look like I just left a paint job. I want to show up and look like I'm ready to go out and paint. And so we would bring in other guys, especially carpenters. We bring Andrew in, get the vibe, understand their knowledge background. A lot of times we'll sit them right here in the office, and I'll look at them and say, okay, day one, you're going to paint this office. Walk me through your process. Tell me about prep. Tell me about what you're going to do. And then we just sit back and shut up, right? You got 2 ears for a reason. You want to listen twice as much as you talk. So in an interview, make sure that that's the same thing you focus on, is you're listening to them, their afflictions in their voice. Are they, are they questioning in their head? Are they starting with the right processes? Right? And question why? Why'd you do that? Why'd you start there? So a lot of that is, we want them to walk us through a typical day of painting in their mind, so that we understand their experience. Are you cutting corners here? Are you doing this? And then that first week that they're out, if we do hire them, guess what? Day one, foreman, hey, how'd it go? What did you see? We want that second set of eyes. Because if we miss something, we want to make sure that out in the field that we didn't that there's something else is happening that we didn't see here in the office. So we're pretty thorough.
Yeah. Talk to me. You mentioned that you have an interview and a test that occurs before you even meet with them in person. What are some of the test questions that you ask during that process?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask that.
And if you don't have them handy, that's all right. I always like to, on our side, we call those honey traps. And it's the thought process of, let's say we maybe send somebody a skills test, but forget to send them a link. And then we wait to see how long it takes them to respond, asking for the link. Are they waiting to the last minute? Or we even send them a paid skills test where we'll pay them and then not send them the email. And we wait to see if they actually respond and care to take the test, or if they just wanted that quick cash grab, right? That kind of displays who they are as a person. So I'm just curious to know if there's any particular honey traps or skills tests that you put in front of your candidates. Other than, I love the idea of having them talk through the process. That's brilliant. Is there anything else though that you like to utilize that would make sure that they're going to be the right fit the first time?
That's a good one. I don't know all the questions off the top of my head. I'm just going to be brutally honest with you there.
No, that's fine.
But it just goes into the, operating a boom lift. A lot of times it's a score. So like, what is your skill level at this too? Right? Operating a boom lift. Are you a 1 through 5? Are you a 2? Or are you a 5? Cutting in, brushing, rolling, spraying. And then the other questions really are just, they're questions not everybody would know. Like I said, it's all about understanding effort. So some of those questions we know most people aren't going to know off the top of their head, and they're going to have to go find it. So what kind of initiative do you have to find out the answer if you don't know it? Right? That's what we want. We want people to have initiative and to take charge, because that prep guy that starts out, we do a lot of Jason coaches for the local high school here. He's been the soccer coach for 12 years, I believe, for varsity here. And we hire a lot of those kids over the summer to give them that trade education, right? Not everything is a social media content creator, and not everything is a YouTuber, right? You need to go out there and do something that no robot will ever take, no AI will ever take from you, right? Painting is one of those jobs. They're never going to be able to do it. Yeah, there's robots that can paint flat walls, whoop-de-doo, but they can never identify cutting in on that soffit or going in under that gutter or making sure you mask this off properly. They're never going to do that. So we're very passionate about making sure that we educate kids on trades. So we do hire them, but when we do that, we want to see the initiative that they have. We don't want them standing around waiting to be told what to do next. Although that is part of, a foreman's job, especially if they're new, you have to be directive at some point. But then also, at what point do they take from being a directive learner to taking that initiative and saying, I already know now, I've done this for, 5 weeks now. I've been painting residential. I know that the first step is to go around and start doing this. Right. So that's part of the test, is where's your initiative to find the answers? And did you do enough research? And if you know, then you know. But if you don't, we want to understand that process in your head. And like you said, how quickly did they get to that? Because a lot of times if we're on the road and somebody calls for a job, yeah, we direct them to our website and say, hey, there's an application there. And the application has all of those, questions and answers. And a lot of times if they're back the same day, we're like, okay, this guy's motivated. Let's talk to him. But then there's the ones that we tell them to go to the website, and all of a sudden they show up at the shop and they're like, yeah, I called you about getting an application, 5 days ago. Okay, well, obviously you're not really motivated to get a job because it took you 5 more days to come and talk to us when you could have done it on the internet, right? So weighing those things out and understanding that motivation. So initiative, motivation, and drive, because if you don't have any drive, you're not going to survive here, because our guys move.
Absolutely. Yeah. And look, the idea of identifying hard skills, which is, can you paint, and the soft skills, which is, can you have critical thinking skills? We call fact finder follow through on the Colby assessment. They're two very different skill sets, and I think that it's very, very important that you evaluate not just the hard skills, can they paint, but also the soft skills of, are they going to be a good culture fit? Because culture goes well beyond just pizza parties and taking, your team out to a lunch. It's about how they interact when you're not looking. And that ultimately is going to dictate how well your company is going to thrive. So I always like to try to
100%.
touch on the team,
Yeah, because you can teach those skills. You can teach how to cut in. You can teach how to mask. That's a hard skill that you can teach. You can't teach initiative. You can't teach motivation, right? That is instilled in a person. And so that's why it's important to us, because if you have those, we can teach the rest.
That's it. It's a want. And, I like to, mention it's the whole concept of who, not how, right? Great book. But it's when you find the right culture fit, if they have the drive, the motivation, and you find a good seat for them in the company, teach them how to do the job. Anybody can do that. That's the whole concept of like success is 10% skill set, 90% mindset. Like if you put your mind to anything, you can do it. Anybody can go learn how to do these things on YouTube or Google. With the barrier to entry being so low in painting, that's why there are so many painters, because anybody can do it. But when you have the right culture on top of that, man, you got a company that is going to stand on its own out there.
For sure.
And again, I can just sense the passion and all that in you. So keep up the great work there, man.
Thank you.
The one other thing I wanted to touch on here is you mentioned that the reason your crew sticks around is because you keep them busy. I can't tell you how often I hear from other contractors is like, hey, I just need leads and then we can grow. But it's not really just about more leads. So talk to me a little bit about how you do stay busy, let's say between the holidays or right after Christmas, or, pick a time of the year that would typically be slow over in your market. And how do you ensure that your crews do stay busy?
I would say typically it's December through January here in California. Mainly in the valley where we are, we have a lot of waterways around us. It's known as the Delta, and it feeds into the ocean, but we get a lot of fog. We get thick fog. You can't really paint in the fog, right? It's too much moisture in the air. So we start in September and October promoting winter booking specials, right? So, hey, book now in December and January, and we'll give you X percentage off of your interior painting. We're promoting interior, kitchen cabinets, anything to do inside, right? Even though we might paint 30 exterior jobs in the month of December, we do promote an incentive for the customer. So we'll be making videos. We'll be talking about that. We'll be making videos in August. You guys will be editing them, and we'll be promoting them through September and October, right? So get ahead of the game. Don't wait until November and Thanksgiving, because Austin, we do shut down the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's. Nobody wants to paint the outside of their house with all their Christmas decorations and their lights. Nobody wants you inside their house, during those times of year. So we shut down. The guys all know it. So most of them either like hold on to their sick pay or their vacation or whatever so that they can ride it out, through Christmas, or they've just had enough work ahead of time that they've already prepared. But it's not a surprise to them, right? They already know. So, but that's the only 2 weeks of the year that they're not out doing something. But guess what? Jason and I are. Paul, we're here in the office. We're out doing estimates. So when they come back from that break, the calendar's full. Let's go. We're ready to rock, right? So prepare. Think ahead. So many guys, I hear this all the time. I'm waiting for leads. I'm waiting for leads. We don't wait for the phone to ring. Phone rings because we're out there making the phone ring. We're out there doing videos. We're out there advertising. We're on the radio. We're sponsoring events. We're involved in the community. Jason runs a special needs soccer program. Everybody knows Jason because he works with autistic and Down syndrome children playing soccer and teaching them sports. We're involved in Young Men's Institute. So we are a nonprofit organization that supports our community through various channels. We do obviously our social media marketing. Be out there, be present. you can't wait for the phone to ring, because if you do, you're going to be waiting a long time. You have to go get it.
Yeah. Oh man, you nailed it. 2 points I wanted to make sure that everybody heard here is, first, you can't pay to make marketing go away. You need to be involved. That's why we are very clear in our sales process that, like, hey, we don't work for you. We work with you. We are a marketing partner. And more importantly, the concept of being proactive is, I think, very misunderstood in this industry. We've had a few clients who have had their entire January booked out before the start of Q4. And it's because, just like you, they are intentional about knowing what time of the year they're going to get slow. And they don't just wait for that time of the year and expect things to be different, because we can't necessarily influence buyer demand. But what we can do is influence when you can book something based on how many leads we can acquire you certain times of the year. And having the foresight to say, hey, I know we're going to be slow in 4 to 5 months. Let's start being proactive about creating the content, about booking out those estimates, using that as an incentive to book the estimates if they're not in a rush, right? Choosing what services you want to market that time of the year, knowing that they're not going to be viable in a couple months. That's where we see the most success. So you guys are absolutely crushing it there. Anything that you want to add to that? I know I just kind of reiterated a lot of what you said there.
No, not really. I mean, I think that we, if anything, I feel like our goal today was to educate people on be present, be yourself, but go get it. This is your business. This is what you chose to do, what you wake up every day being passionate about. I thank you for the compliments on the passion. It's instilled in me. It's a part of my every single day. And if you're a business owner and you started a business and that's what you're waking up every day to do, then do it, and do it with everything in your body. Do it with every ounce of passion and desire that made you start the business in the first place. There's ups and downs in every single business, but when it's down, look forward to how it's going to get up. Be proactive. Do what you need to do. Go out and do things that make you uncomfortable, because all that's going to do is allow you to get better and better and make you more comfortable in the future and continue to grow your business. And that's what we're going to do. Yeah, the Facebook thing was uncomfortable at first, but look where we are now, Austin. I mean, who would have thought a painter had, hundreds of thousands of views for a painting video? We were at a dinner last night, and literally I was walking out from the dinner, and one of the ladies looks at me and goes, "I'll see you on Facebook." And I kind of laughed. I was like, "All right, I'll see you there, because I'll be there." So it's heartwarming to see how many people are out there just enjoying the content, and we're having fun with it as well. And again, thank you for your partnership. You guys have been nothing but amazing. I mean, we are more than satisfied with what you guys have done, and it's a true partnership. And we wholeheartedly, Jason and I talk about it all the time. Like, the timing is right. Things happen for a reason. Jason says it all the time. God puts things in your path and in your way at a certain time in life, and it's all because He's meant for you to do something great. And this was just meant to be. And we are very, very blessed to have this partnership, and we appreciate it.
Rob, I was going to ask you for your greatest takeaway, but man, I think you nailed it there. I'm going to leave it at that. Rob, I appreciate you coming on here to help support the industry and provide your expertise and insights to others. If you're listening in and you found value from Rob, please give us some likes, comments, and some love below. If there's anybody else that you would love to hear from, we'd love to hear from you. Rob, thank you again, brother.
My pleasure. Thank you, Austin. Have a wonderful day.
Cheers. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us on that episode. I hope you guys enjoyed that chat as much as I did. Now, listen, if you guys are hungry for more conversations like this, go swing by our website. It's basecoatmarketing.com/podcast. And finally, we are very open to feedback. So if we haven't covered a topic or there's someone you want us to chat with, please let us know. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on the next conversation for painters.